Good afternoon everybody, a very warm welcome to the Formula 1 British Grand Prix 2025. It's been 75 years since Formula 1 first raced here and had the first opening World Championship race. Well, today it's a bit wetter than it was back in 1950. 23 degrees, very wet, a lot more corners of this great Silverstone track to navigate. 18 turns, 3.6 miles, 2 DRS zones, not in action today of course with this wet weather, but a lot of excitement to be had, and well, it's time to see the grid then. Well, on pole today, Elliott West with a fantastic qualifying lap on the soft tyres in the dry, puts him alongside Lando Norris in the McLaren. The two title rivals will look to go at it a bit later on. Moving then to row 2 on the grid, Lewis Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Russell and Sainz on row 3. Verstappen and Lawson, the two RB powered cars, on row 4, Hayes and Hadjar on row 5, Hulkenberg and Joshua Pearce on row 6, Albon and Behrman on row 7, on row 8, Kimi Antonelli and Pierre Gasly, poor qualifiers from them both, Bortoleto and Ocon take row 9. Jack Doohan and a very poor qualifying for Yuki Tsunoda put them on row 10, with Alonso and Stroll, the two Aston Martins of their home race here at Silverstone, on the last row. Well, it has been bucketing down since this morning, and well, it looks like it's going to be full wet tyres for the entire grid. This could be a very unprecedented race. Safety cars possible here at Silverstone. Of course, it's happened many times in the past, remember, but we all know how Silverstone can change conditions very, very quickly. Will we get a dry line straight away? We'll draw a dry line, if you might say. And maybe the intermediates could go on. It's all to play for, strategies to be had. And well, we'll see what Pirelli throws up in the strategy mix today. But we'll have to see how these cars fare in these conditions. Let's go then to the formation lap. Well then, as you can see, it is very, very wet out there. You're not going to enjoy this on a dry tyre or an intermediate tyre, and the spray's already going up immediately, as you can see. But then, all cars on the wet tyres. It's a very rare occasion we get to see all of these cars on wet tyres. But it's not quite there for intermediates yet. But, well then, here's the race strategies. A one stop, you could pit lap 26 to 40, and the options there. Or you could go for a two stop, a bit faster. But then you've also got the intermediates as well, which could come into play. As we come around the formation lap, no issues for any of the cars coming off the grid and round the lap. But it's time for Silverstone to have its party in 2025. Here we go then, 52 laps and a wet and rainy Silverstone. Lights out and away we go in the wet. Then it's an even start between the front two, but look at Hamilton behind. He's getting close to Lando Norris. Hamilton looking to the outside in turn 1. It might not be enough going through. Norris squeezed and pushed to the outside. West loses traction. Hamilton takes the lead going up towards Village. This is close between the two Ferraris. Pushed all the way to the outside. Russell having a look as well. Russell and Hamilton side by side. Hamilton now back on West's tail. And now the two Ferraris, the two Brits, lead coming onto the Wellington Straight. An even start between the front two. But a brilliant start from Hamilton. An even better start from George Russell, who's up to third. But a perfect getaway. West goes a little bit deep. Lewis Hamilton having a look side by side. The two Ferraris looking to try and fight for this lead all the way out of Luffield. And now down towards the old pit straight and up to Copse Corner. All looks way too processional here for Silverstone, and an early start, but Piastri and Norris and Verstappen following out and completing the top 6. Sainz, Hayes, Lawson, Hadjar running at the top 10. Well, it's so tight between. Well, Hamilton's trying to make a breakaway. West is under pressure, and George Russell and Piastri's going to try and sneak through, but it's not quite enough between the Mercedes and the McLaren. But now the run all the way down the hangar straight. A DRS zone in normal dry conditions. Oh, a bit of carbon going flying as well in the background. Russell and West looking like they're coming together, but now they're side by side again. And now down towards Vale and Club. West lost the late breakers, and well, that Ferrari, it looks like it's just about holding on. But the rain is absolutely hammering it down here at Silverstone. It's not going to be an easy race for these drivers. 52 laps, and after lap number 1 then, Hamilton has broken free of the field, and West is trying to keep George Russell behind. And well, what do you expect from Lewis Hamilton? He's not had a win all season. It might be the perfect day for it. He loves a wet weather race, and he loves Silverstone. Could win number 10 be on the cards here today. He had got a brilliant start as well. Lando Norris didn't see him coming from behind as well. Another poor start for the McLaren, and George Russell trying down the inside, going into Brooklands. Russell almost keeping a foot in, but not quite to be. Might not be enough for the Brit. And well, George Russell holds third place for now, but West has got a gaggle of cars up behind him now. Piastri and Norris following closely, maybe trying to have a look, an opportunity if one presents itself a bit later in the race. George Russell following the Ferrari. The gap now 3.5 seconds off the lead between Hamilton and West. And this, well, might be day done if you... Anything could happen. Safety cars do happen here at Silverstone. And well, Russell's going to be right in the back. Look at Norris and Piastri in the background too. But Norris looking to the inside on Piastri, but it's not quite to be. He's a bit too far back. And at that moment in time, Russell still following through as we come towards Vale. And Club once more. Out the final corner, try and get as much traction as he can with these wet tyres. We haven't really seen the wet tyres for a long, long time, nor a wet race like we have. But it is George Russell still following in third place. It's 4 Brits in the top 5 so far. Well, if you're wondering about our other Brits, Pierce, Behrman as well, they're a bit further down the order in 11th and 12th, but 2 RBs up into 9th and 10th too. A brilliant start for them. West goes wide though, coming out of Aintree, and now down the Wellington straight we go again. And Russell is getting even closer as we come through Brooklands. Still hammering it down here at Silverstone. On the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, this is where the first Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix was held in 1950, and well, 75 years on the 75th anniversary of Formula 1, it's a race where there is some special history. But George Russell still on the back of West, and it's still going through as we come through Maggotts and Beckett's. There's Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, and well, 5 of the top 6 in this championship hunt and in this championship fight, and Lewis Hamilton is streaking away 5 seconds ahead. George Russell now looking to the outside as we come through Stowe, but it's not quite to be again. Last of the late breakers once again from West. He loves a last-minute move on the brakes, and Sonny Hayes in the background. Look at him going side by side with Carlos Sainz, and looking into Vale now. Sainz holding the inside off that Apex GP car, but it's not to be for the American. He's having a very good season in the midfield, competing with some of the best. And George Russell now, pushed to the inside, and West has tried to push him out. And, well, it looks like Oscar Piastri now is going to have a run on George Russell going up towards Village. And, well, through this first sector we go. Piastri almost keeping a foot in. And through the loop we go. Piastri's really trying to push Russell to the limit. But George Russell will hold the outside as we come onto the Wellington straight again. Side by side, McLaren and Mercedes fighting each other again. Maybe Norris might have a look in the background too. Side by side, McLaren's not quite to be. Verstappen's also going to have a look and maybe have a little touch and a tease in that Red Bull. But no, it's not to be for these 4. They all stay in the same positions, but a little bit of action, a little bit of surprise. Well, that battle has meant that West has got a 2-second gap now between himself and George Russell. Can he try and lay a marker down, lay down some laps? After being under such pressure early on. Well, West definitely said on the grid that he didn't like these wet conditions. He does struggle in them quite a bit, but you can start to see, and you can just about see it on the screen, a dry line is starting to form. Now, the rain is still coming down, but if you're Hamilton or West, is it going to be a gamble to the intermediates, potentially, for the race win? It very much might be so, and, well, looking in the background, you can see Lawson and Pierce trying to make a move down towards Vale, and I think Pierce might have just got the job done. We'll see in a minute, but, well, 2 APX GPs in the top 10, alongside the RBs, is going to be a real fight to the finish now for the team. Well, with 9 out of the 11 teams, this is technically a home race for them. They've all got their factories in and about the UK. McLaren over in Woking, Mercedes over in Brackley, Aston Martin just round the corner here at Silverstone, Red Bull over in Milton Keynes, Williams over in Grove as well. There's so much racing history and so many teams. The only real teams that are abroad are Ferrari, of course, in Maranello, and then RB over in Italy as well. Not far off, and well, George Russell is 1 second behind. We're going to ride on the helicam shot from Oscar Piastri. Norris was looking and maybe having a think in his teammate. Papaya rules in effect today. We'll have to ask Zach Brown a bit later. Piastri currently leading Norris, and he also leads him in the Drivers' Championship too. And well, Max Verstappen is also on the case, and also nearing the back. Oh no, now Lando Norris pulls to the left-hand side, to the outside at Stowe. Lando Norris, can he get the move done? Piastri's going to push him all the way. Norris holds out and gets the move done. A brilliant move from Lando Norris. And that is Norris up to P4. 4 Brits in the top 4. And now George Russell's getting ever closer to the back of the Ferrari. And West is still dropping off. 8 seconds now in 6 laps. Lewis Hamilton's loving life out there in this wet weather, and now you can start to see the dry line starting to form. Russell and West going at it, and well, West and Russell, West having to defend now, and he will have to defend all the way down the Hangar Straight. If he doesn't get a good exit here, and he doesn't look like he has got a good exit, Russell right on the gearbox of West as we come down the Wellington Straight again. And well, Russell being pushed to the inside at Brooklands. Russell down the inside, West switches it back, and now a bit of switcheroo between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. And Norris is being brought into this fight as well. You can hear a cheer from the crowd as you go through Luffield. What a brilliant bit of racing this is between the top 4. And well, this is the battle for second. Russell off the track. Norris pushing to the inside. And Norris will have a run, potentially going into Cobb's Corner, side by side, in through the high-speed section, and well, this is going to bring in a 5-car battle for second. Norris and Russell still side by side through maggots, not quite to be. Russell holds out this time, but Norris, we really thought he might give it a go going through Cobb's Corner. It's not a place you normally overtake, and I think Verstappen will tell you that as well. Now, George Russell to the outside onto the wet part of the track, trying around the outside of the Stowe. West maybe last the late breakers again. He does, yes. And there we go. Oh, but Russell down the inside. He's going to try a switcheroo on him now. And he's up to second position. West now, maybe last the late breakers again on the wet patches again. Not quite to be. Uses as much curve as he can get. Norris, through goes Norris. And now up to P3. Hectic racing all up through the top 5. And well, that's allowed Lewis Hamilton to really break a gap now. 12 seconds between Hamilton and West. And West off. And now West is off. He's going to have to find and rejoin safely. Norris is going to have a look. He can't believe his luck, can he? Up to second place Norris goes. And now West, last of the late breakers again. Can't push him too much in that Ferrari. But now Norris still hanging in there. Still side by side. Almost. And now up to run. Down towards Brooklands again. And well, this is absolutely magical racing at Silverstone in the wet. Well, all of these front 4, have been in karting conditions like this. whether it's in the lower Formulas 2 and they know how to drive, they know how to race. Here comes Lando Norris to the outside. West almost, oh, well, Norris was going off the track anyway, similar to what Russell did on the last lap, to be fair. But Weston, Norris and Russell, Piastri and Verstappen, all 5 cars in your shot in the front of picture, all battling for second place. And you can see a small gaggle of cars also maybe looking to profit. Verstappen goes deep and Sainz goes straight through in the background, you can see. And well, that's not good for Verstappen. He did go a bit late and... well, now you might have seen Lando Norris trying to make a move on West, going into Stowe. Piastri goes late and George Russell not quite to be. And oh, there was a bit of contact. I think there was contact, and that's a front wing end plate that's missing from Lando Norris. That's the front left part, or the front left end plate, sorry, on Lando Norris's car, and that's going to detriment him right until the pit stop. That will hold Norris back, or will it? Is he going to look maybe towards turn 1? You can see the dry line really starting to appear now, or at least a dry line. It's still going to be damp, but Lando Norris is in, well, a world of trouble with that front wing damage. Is it going to be a case if he lets Oscar Piastri through and up ahead, if he can get past Russell? I'm sure it will be his, but now Lando Norris looking to the inside on West, and that's just how difficult these conditions are. And I think West is really struggling in the Ferrari. Of course, that car is favoured in the dry conditions. West much prefers a dry race as well. It's not somewhere he wants to be. You can see how low the cars run to the ground as well. And well, this gaggle of cars goes all the way back to 13th for context. That's how much West is really struggling with these conditions. Hamilton now 15 seconds ahead. Well, if it's a safety car, Hamilton's got a free stop if he does. If he does decide to pit. And bear in mind, Ferrari strategy could happen here today. Well, Norris now looking to the outside. A bit of a twitch going into... yeah, that's it. West picking up a bit of gravel on his tyres and going deep. Norris through. Lando Norris up into second place. West dipped onto the grass and into the gravel. He goes deep again. West trying to... same thing as he did on Russell. And well, George Russell looks on the outside. Coming through Club now on the last corner. Onto the Hamilton straight. And now Norris is... well, pushed down the order. Piastri might also take the opportunity around the outside into turn 1. And, well, Lando Norris has just lost 2 positions in the space of 3 corners. Not good for Lando Norris at all. And now Carlos Sainz in the Williams is looking to maybe try and profit off this as well. Verstappen in behind as well, 7 tenths. But Russell... now back into P3, Piastri back into P4 too. Well, Norris's hard work is all undone by a little mistake and a little bit of bodywork going flying. And well, West now, well, he's really dropped off. We can see Lewis Hamilton as to where he might be at the minute, and well, going through Maggotts and Beckett's. He's really enjoying this. It's a nice, easy Sunday drive for Lewis Hamilton as he comes through onto the hangar straight again. And, well, you can't even see West in the background as you come up towards Stowe. That's the magic of it. And now you can see West coming through. And look at the dry line. You can really start to see it now. Well, George Russell, let's have a look, shall we? Coming up towards Stowe. He's getting closer and closer and closer. Tries the outside. West can't. Doesn't give him the room and doesn't give him the space. Well, he keeps going, and Verstappen, I think, in the background has got past Carlos Sainz too. So, there we are. Oh, West in. West into the pits then. What's going on here then? A Ferrari decided to roll the dice with this dry line. The wet tyres, are they the right tyre to be on? This is the question, the million-dollar question. And well, intermediates onto West car. This is a gamble, a real gamble, with teams expecting more weather on the way. Will this be a masterstroke from Ferrari for the first time in a long time, or will it be a real test for West to be on these intermediate tyres. We'll see how the lap progresses. We'll see how far he comes out behind Stroll. And well, behind Stroll, 8 seconds. So we'll see how much time he makes up. But that dry line, well, it's right on the crossover point, isn't it? And well, we shall see. Look at that. He's already taking some time out of Lance Stroll, but we'll come back to him a bit later. 18 seconds now, the gap between Hamilton and Russell in P1 and P2. Of course, they were... Actually, this is probably the same top 4 that happened last year at Silverstone, when it was a bit of mixed wet conditions. Hamilton and Russell, both in Mercedes, Piastri and Norris, were all battling for the lead last year, and what a sight it was to see. Verstappen got close towards the last few laps, but it was Lewis Hamilton who came out on top for his 9th British Grand Prix victory. Today he'd set the record even higher at 10 wins at a single circuit, the most of any driver on the Formula 1 calendar. And well, this is his palace, isn't it? Sir Lewis Hamilton round Silverstone. It's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect from Lewis. And this could be a big day in his season 2 as he gets his first win in Ferrari colours. But let's look down the order at the competition then. Russell and Piastri going at it. Norris is slightly dropping off to the top 3. And well, it might be just these intermediate tyres. We need the crossover point, and well, is it going to be wet to the mid-race, or is it going to be inters, an early stop, and then make it a 2-stop strategy? There's a bit of magic in it, isn't there? And it's certainly a dry line, but it's not a dryish, a very, very dry line. Well, now we can see Norris and Verstappen onto the right there. But Oscar Piastri and George Russell will follow each other right up towards Copse. And while Oscar Piastri, third in the championship as it stands, and with probably the best chance as a McLaren driver at the moment to get close. He's 22 points off West, and he's also 34 off Max Verstappen. So still anyone's game. There are 2 wins earlier in the season. I believe they were at, if I look at my notes correctly, it was Imola and Monaco. There is a bit of magic in there, and potentially there is some excitement to come in this race. Lap 12 then of 52, 40 laps to go in this race, and it is slowly looking more and more as if, well, and you can see actually down the bottom on the left there, we'll jump to him. West is on the back of Lance Stroll, so these intermediates have worked brilliantly so far. The pace is certainly there. So will teams come and do the same, or will Ferrari do the same with Hamilton a bit later? West down the inside on Lance Stroll, gets the move done, and well, he'll be looking at Jack Doohan next in the Alpine, and well, he blitzes past in the faster Ferrari. But that's telling, that is very, very telling in fact, that maybe there is a faster tyre out there for the teams to explore. But has West lost enough time with the pit stop to go on to a 2-stop? But we'll see. We'll see a bit later in the race. But for the meantime, Hamilton leads, Russell in 2nd, Piastri 3rd, Norris 4th, Verstappen 5th, Sainz in 6th, Hayes in 7th, Hadjar and Lawson, the 2 RBs, 8th and 9th, and Pierce in 10th. If you're wondering about our other Brits in the top 15, it's Oliver Behrman in 11th, looking for more points on his home debut in Formula 1. He's not raced at Silverstone before. Last season he raced in Sao Paulo at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and then he also raced at Jeddah for Ferrari too, when stepping in for the appendicitis-stricken Carlos Sainz. And well, there was certainly magic in the air when Ollie Behrman went and scored points in his Formula 1 debut, with only qualifying and qualifying in the race under his belt and 1 practice session. That was a magical, magical weekend for Ollie Bearman and his family. Because not many drivers can say they've made a debut in a Ferrari. I don't think there's many people who can say they've actually had a debut in a Ferrari, especially in Formula 1. Although Max Verstappen recently, a debut at the Nürburgring in a GT3 Ferrari. And you know what? He won. The magic of it, eh? Oh, right. So, anyways, Piastri now 5 tenths behind George Russell. And still working on potentially keeping this podium place, because George Russell could really do with some points in the championship. He's 88th, 7th, 1 point behind Yuki Tsunoda at the minute. And well, with this result today, he would jump up to 6th in the championship. And well, Mercedes haven't all been with it so far this season, but they have been enjoying some good results, especially in China when they got a double podium with Russell and Antonelli. Well, Kimi Antonelli in his 2nd race in Formula 1 getting a podium. Not had it that early since Lewis Hamilton in 2007, the Australian Grand Prix. Well, he is Mercedes' protege, as many are tipping him to be, and hopefully for the future he will be right up there with the Mercedes project, especially for 2026. The engine looks fantastic in terms of their project, and well, West in the intermediate tyres is really making some good progress. He's now right up behind Alex Albon, and well, you can see the gaggle of cars up ahead is 9th, and well, this pocket of cars is maybe a path to getting back in the points, and it'd be a perfect way to try it. Albon down the inside, he goes West, and well, he's siding his way through. Kimi Antonelli gives a wave, says goodbye. And now Oliver Bearman. So Pierce, Bearman and West, 3 Brits, all fighting for points. And this, well, feels a bit weird to say that a Ferrari is in the middle, but even weirder to say that Yuki Tsunoda's in 16th place, the Japanese Grand Prix winner from earlier this season. Well, he's fallen off a bit in terms of this season, and well, the Red Bull, I think, might be looking to make a change. Isaac Hadjar's been in the form of his life, even though he hasn't put a point to his name this season. Liam Lawson though with 10 points. Well, we shall certainly see as we go up through the field now. And West and Pierce down the inside, goes West into Beckett's, and well, I think West will dispatch Lawson very easily, and now he's up to 9th. And so with West up to 9th, then it means that he has a bit of free air to go and put the hammer down to try and get back towards the top 3 and catch his rivals. Well, Max Verstappen is now on the back of Norris, and he still hasn't made a move despite Norris having a bit of front wing damage on him. That's got to be affecting him throughout this lap, but Norris has sort of hit form in recent races. Well, he won in Canada, 2nd in Austria, of course. Retirement in Spain from the lead really cost him. Imola 2nd place, Monaco 4th, Miami 3rd to 4th in Miami as well. Podiums in Saudi Arabia and Japan. He has been living the life a bit, Lando Norris, recently, and well, a home podium would be fantastic for him, but doesn't look like that's going to happen today. But well, if it's any case for a dry line, you can now really start to see it. As Max Verstappen follows Lando Norris all the way through. Maggots and Beckett's follow as closely as you can, but and try and clip all the apexes. Well, Verstappen knows a bit about driving the wet at Silverstone. You might remember in 2016 when he went around the outside at Beckett's on Nico Rosberg, and Martin Brundle going, wow, what's going on? No one expects him to find the grip. But Max Verstappen is one of the newer wet weather masters of Formula 1. The man out front has been enjoying wet weather driving in his career. Everyone remembers 2008, an incredible result for Lewis Hamilton. That was, well, if you want to feel old today, that is 17 years ago. This summer that's happened. I'll tell you what, I remember watching it as a 6-year-old and thinking, wow, what a cool sport this is. So, lap 16 then, Lewis Hamilton leads the British Grand Prix. George Russell in behind with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Following with Verstappen, Sainz, Hayes, Hadjar, Weston, Lawson the top 10. If you want news on your other Brits and some other big drivers, Pearson, Behrman and Antonelli 11th to 13th. Tsunoda in 15th, and well, Fernando Alonso, your second place driver from Spain, is in 20th place. And well, out for a club we go, and Lewis Hamilton probably has about another 10 laps till he makes his pit stop. If you don't box now, you've probably opened yourself up to a one-stop strategy. I mean, the teams will be able to predict what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So, Lando Norris then, will he box to try and get rid of this front wing that he's been really struggling with? No, not this time. You might expect he might do a two-stop, but you don't want to show your cards too early. The pit stop game is like a game of poker. Don't show your cards, play the man across from you. Or woman. But there is magic everywhere you go here in Formula 1. Anything could happen at any moment in time. And well, safety cars could play a part today. Chance of a safety car around here, 50%. It's happened in recent years. We've had safety cars, even red flags, because of horrific incidents in Formula 1, and well, it is a sport where anything could happen. But, well, looking down the order, we'll have a look down and see, well, West has passed Hadjar and going into Brooklands, and Sonny Hayes now on the back of Carlos Sainz in the APX GP. APX GP looking to try and get up through the field and try and take on Carlos Sainz. And well, I love this new camera angle through Copse Corner. You can really see the cars picking up their speed and then throwing the car into the right-hander. In the dry, they wouldn't lift. During qualifying, they would just throw the car in. The downforce would be there, but in this weather, you've got to lift. You've got to lift the car up and wait and see. Sonny Hayes down the inside towards Stowe. The experienced American up the inside on Carlos Sainz. And well, West is trying to have a sneak around the outside. I don't think it's going to be. The grip's not there. And well, Sonny Hayes up to 6th. The experienced American Le Mans Daytona winner. Ended up in NASCAR as well at some point. And even was a taxi driver in New York. He's back at the British Grand Prix. And, well, up to P6. P6. Carlos Sainz and West fighting it out behind. And, well, down the inside goes West into Village. And a nice little move from the Ferrari driver. Gets him up into P7 in the Grand Prix. And well, now Hayes is his next target, and it looks like the traction's there, the grip's there on those intermediate tyres. West to the inside of Brooklands, last the late breakers, side by side, pushes Hayes all the way, and well, Hayes has no choice but to yield to the faster Ferrari. And so with that stop then, West now 34 seconds now behind the leader, Lewis Hamilton. So if there was to be a stop now, he would probably come just behind Lewis Hamilton. Not quite as high up as he was hoping, but still good nonetheless. But Well, we will see. Now up as Verstappen is West's next target, and Lando Norris is there too. No pit stops yet from any of the top 5 for the intermediates. It looks like it's going to be a holdout on the wets and see how far you can go. But you can see West there in the background just going through Stowe at the top of the shot. There's a little glimpse of him. But this Capacity British Grand Prix crowd, I think, is loving this battle between Norris and Verstappen. They're following so closely, and well, Verstappen's doing an excellent job to keep with Norris, the pace of the McLaren, but Norris is doing an excellent job on the other hand to try and stay in front of Max Verstappen. And well, might it be the day that Verstappen loses the World Championship lead over to West? And also it would mean, this result would also mean that Oscar Piastri would... Oh, Verstappen's made a mistake! Verstappen's made a mistake! And I think he spun just ever so slightly. Looking at my notes and then looked up and Verstappen was slow. And now he's going to have a lot of time to catch back up to Norris. A huge shame for Max Verstappen. We'll get a replay in a second. But, well, Verstappen, a rare error in the wet, but well caught by the Dutch driver. And well, West will be rubbing his hands together in the cockpit of that Ferrari now that Verstappen's made a mistake. Those tyres will burn out just a little bit more. Well, the Ferrari, you can see him there in the background. He's lurking almost, you might say. But Max Verstappen needs to catch Lando Norris back down, and I think he will very quickly with this. These conditions, and also Norris's front wing. How he hasn't passed him yet, and I'm not sure, but well, and there's West again. Well, when driving into the track this morning, he didn't think you'd see so much Ferrari merchandise or even McLaren merchandise. Not much Mercedes anymore here at Silverstone as it used to be, but Ferrari have been doing a lot to celebrate their 2 British drivers, of course. They've been enjoying all the attention here at the well, the last driver to race for Ferrari before Lewis Hamilton and West was Oliver Behrman, of course. But before that, you had Hawthorne, Mansell, Surtees, Tony Brooks, Mike Parks, and also Eddie Irvine as well. And well, Verstappen getting a bit closer up to Norris now, and West is still in behind, and he's still following Lewis Hamilton going all the way around. Before Hamilton, it was the full-time drivers was Eddie Irvine, who partnered Schumacher in 1999, and well, and yes, I did have to quickly Google that during the race. There was someone told me a few weeks ago that Eddie Irvine was Irish, and I was completely taken aback by the response. But anyway, Kimi Antonelli up to P11 in the race, and well, that Mercedes is Antonelli's had a decent season so far. He's been 42 points in the championship and P9 currently as it stands for the Italian rookie, and well, he's been enjoying, I think, his promotion from Prema in Formula 2 up to the Mercedes, and the Works Mercedes at that too. I think he's excelled and done brilliantly so far this season, with the podium in China, of course, but you've got to keep scoring points if you want to stay in that Mercedes seat, and of course if Mercedes do get a better car by the end of the season, we'll hopefully see the magic happen. once again for Kimi Antonelli. And of course, only Antonelli will still continue to improve. It's going to be an incredible season and an incredible career that we need to watch on Kimi Antonelli. Keep an eye. He could be a Formula 1 world champion one day. Mark my words, I'm sure he probably will be one day if he gets the right car. So then, Hayes in 7th currently as it stands, 10 seconds off West, and Sainz is in behind, 2.2 seconds. So it looks like Sonny Hayes has the points potentially in his grasp today, but well, Verstappen has caught right back up to Lando Norris, and you can see West is putting in purple sectors. You can see just the purple on the pit wall board that Ferrari are putting out for him. And it's very impressive. 12 laps on now, West is still putting in intermediate purple sectors in that Ferrari. Well, Verstappen has closed right up onto the back of Lando Norris now. Piastri is slowly dropping off just a little bit. You might have noticed in the past couple of laps. Well, Hamilton and Russell still 18 seconds behind each other. Lando Norris is going to be under pressure from Max Verstappen as we come up through Cops. Let's go right on board and see the true speed. What does he do? He sort of goes down to 5th gear. You can see the car also sliding as you go through. Maggots and Beckett's and Cops as well. It also slides to the outside, and you can see the pressure he's under. Verstappen gaining. Not going to be quite close enough here to take Norris at the top of Stowe, but well, you can slowly see it. But well, West now within the reach of the Red Bull and the McLaren. Last season's title rivals, of course, and the championship leader Max Verstappen. Now, he's been dominant this season, all the way since Australia, China, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia too on the podium. Spain a winner, Austria a winner at the Red Bull's home race. Well, might we be seeing Max Verstappen just a little bit behind in the World Championship after today's race? Of course, West has got to stop again, remember, but he's caught them up absolutely brilliantly, and on the intermediate tyres, I'm sure he will breeze past them. Got to use the tyre delta and the tyre advantage as best you can. Well, West now right on the back of Max Verstappen. Here goes a Brit to the inside. It cops again. My West goes straight down the inside. Goes a bit wide on exit, but Verstappen will try and fight this back. West still going, and I think that's move done as we go through Maggots. And well, Lando Norris is now going to be under pressure from the Ferrari. Maybe it's all going to come undone for these two. West tries to the inside on Norris. Not quite to be. Holds out position. And now pulls to the inside. Is it going to be quite enough for West? Last the late breakers into Stowe. He gets the move done. And well, a lot cleaner this time than the last time on Lando Norris. Good move from the Ferrari. And now he's going to try and bridge the gap maybe between Norris and Piastri. But Norris and Verstappen are now slowly being dragged along by West, and you can see Piastri's almost dropped off just a little bit to Russell as well. 6.2 seconds now. The gap was about 5 a couple of laps ago, but well, George Russell I'm sure won't be complaining at that, and maybe it's time to see Verstappen get past Norris, but West is now on the back of Piastri and looking very, very close, and coming into Luffield now, and through Brooklands we go. Well, West is closing right up onto the back of Oscar Piastri. Will try and get the exit. Looking down towards the pit straight. West down the inside on Oscar Piastri and gets the traction with those tyres. And well, not Piastri looking down to the inside at Copse as well. West holds out. And well, that's a good move from West. An excellent move. Track limits potentially on the outside too. Piastri to the inside of Magnussen maybe. Oh, contact between the two. Piastri holding out again. Side by side. Still, Piastri holds the outside. And maybe getting the move done. Yes, he will. But it's not over yet. West will have the slipstream all the way down towards Stowe. And maybe Norris in the mixers again in the McLaren. The McLaren teammate going down the inside. Not quite to be. Still going. Still there. Norris. Not to be. Not to be for Lando Norris. And well, a moment of excitement. But that's the first time we've seen a car fight back against a car on the intermediates in this Grand Prix. And well, we might be seeing some stops in a couple of laps' time. Hamilton, I think, telling his team over the radio, we can hear that he's getting told Ferrari to get the tyres ready. Whether it will be intermediate, we will see. But if it is, it will be a interesting race to the finish. But West is right on the back of Oscar Piastri, using all the available track on the dry line as you can. Down towards Brooklands again, and up towards Luffield. What a shot that is, by the way, of these cars in the rain. The rain has let up a bit. I will just mention, it looks like it has let up ever so slightly. And well, West down the inside, Piastri, it's a similar spot. West pushes him this time, but Piastri is going to be under pressure going into Copse corner again. Piastri tries it, maybe to defend going into Copse. West down the inside, and a brilliant move to get up into third place again. Ferrari back in the podium places. And well, now it means Piastri's going to be under pressure from his teammates and from his title rival too. Piastri now almost going to be under pressure. Norris and Verstappen in behind. Maybe it's going to be a move. Norris getting closer and closer and closer. Not quite to be. It's going to be almost in the braking zone. And well, we will see when it comes to the pit stops who will be out on top then. And while Lewis Hamilton, lap 26, he's enjoying life up the front. And well, Russell's also had a bit of trickery that's played into his hands. The battle behind has almost allowed him a bit of a gap, and a bit of a healthier gap to say the least. And well, Oscar Piastri will now have to defend his teammate and Max Verstappen too. Might be time we see the McLaren maybe try and undercut Russell, or try and get on this intermediate tyre where we know the pace is a lot stronger. West has proved it. Well, Hamilton, is it going to be a pit stop this lap? We've waited and waited and waited. Look at the size of the dry line now is almost, it's almost perfect for maybe a stop to be had. And maybe as we come through the last corner, is where Hamilton not going to pit this time. 26 laps down, and we will come on to lap 27, and I'm sure it will be his time soon. But then, are we going to see some stops? Russell coming out the last corner, and yes, we are going to see a stop. George Russell, the first of the leaders, into the pits. And well, West isn't coming in. He's got a bit longer to go. Piastri's in too, Verstappen in as well. So, the first stops here at Silverstone in the British Grand Prix. George Russell in. Wet tyres. The decision for Mercedes. They think more weather and more rain's on the way. Piastri though, are we going to see something from him? Wet tyres as well. Verstappen. Wet tyres too. So, magic maybe could be in the air for a bit more. And we're going to see APX GP coming in. Are we going to see intermediates for Sonny Hayes? This is the question. Are all the teams going to gamble on the wet tyres and there being more rain to come Or are we going to see teams try and stick it out on the wet tyres? Wet tyres for Apex GP 2. Nice and easy for Apex GP. Well, we'll have a look at the front of the field. And well, West 34 seconds behind Hamilton. So if he does pit, it will not be a... I don't think it will be the lead for him, but... Well, we shall see. He's 4 seconds ahead now. He's gained a lot of time out of Lewis Hamilton. Well, I'm sure Hamilton's about to box this lap. We will see. Oh! Hamilton's round! Hamilton's spinning round! And he's into the wall! I think he's kept it going. Lewis has kept it going. But it's front wing damage. You can see on the front of that car. And Lewis Hamilton will enter the pit lane. And that's going to hurt his race massively. He's lost a lot of time to West now. And West will surely take the lead. Did he stay out a bit too long on those tyres? It's like China 2007 all over again. Now, that's a lot of damage on that front wing, on that front end plate. And intermediates for Ferrari. And a new nose. West is coming through the final corner now. And Norris also pits. Is it going to be intermediates for him? Well, we will see. I don't think it's going to be... That looks like wet tyres. Wet tyres going on for Lando Norris. West out into the lead then. And well, George Russell is going to overtake Lewis Hamilton now too. And George Russell has pitted, remember. So, Lewis Hamilton down to third. And Russell will take the net lead then of the British Grand Prix. And a cheer from all the fans wearing Mercedes caps in the stand. But Lewis Hamilton 3 seconds behind, but he's on intermediates. So, the big risk then from Ferrari. Have they got the strategy right or have they got it horribly wrong? All remains to be seen over the next 24 laps of this British Grand Prix. Russell though, 8 seconds behind, to West. And that gap is slowly increasing. And West on the very worn intermediate. And I mean, you can barely see... It's almost like you can barely see any spray coming off that Mercedes. The Ferrari's the exact same. So I honestly think the Ferrari might have got the strategy quite right with these intermediates. And well, George Russell's had 2 seconds taken out of him since the pit stop. Lewis Hamilton's absolutely flying. Is this going to be a perfect day for Lewis Hamilton? He's right on the back. And look at the closing speed from Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. We'll find a better view. Here we go. For Lewis Hamilton on the edge. And maybe as we come down the straight, named after him, he's going to make a move. Not quite to be. He closes right up to George Russell. Maybe it's going to be a move as we come into Village. Lewis Hamilton still following so closely behind George Russell. And well, this is one bit of action you don't want to switch away from. Lewis Hamilton is going to try and maybe have a move as we come down towards Brooklands. Hamilton pulls to the right hand side. It's going to be Lewis Hamilton last on the brakes to the outside. George Russell pushes him as much as he can. Lewis has the grip and the traction on the new intermediate tyres. And that is Lewis Hamilton then up to P2. And now he takes the net lead the race back again. So Lewis Hamilton is absolutely flying. Purple sector in sector 1 with that as well. So for good measure. And well, Lewis will now go chasing after his teammates. Well, I don't think West can take those inters to the end. If he does, I'll be very impressed. But, well, these inters do have a long life, remember. They do have a very, very long life. And maybe there is magic to be had. 10 seconds up the road if Hamilton can catch him up. But I do expect that West will soon go for another set of intermediate tyres. They're clearly faster. Look at I mean, Hamilton has been 4 seconds quicker than George Russell on that lap. That is incredible pace from the Ferrari. I don't know where they've found this pace from since the Austrian Grand Prix, but well, Hamilton was up there as he takes this season by storm. And well, Piastri and Verstappen are now going at it, and I think this might be a battle for the ages, both on wet tyres again, so one to keep an eye on maybe as we go around the lap and around the next few laps. Verstappen's getting ever closer to the back of Oscar Piastri, but it's not quite to be for the Dutchman. And well, West going through Maggots and up to Beckett's. Well, he's really trying to push this car to the limit, and well, you'll see Lewis Hamilton in the background. There he is. And well, he's within hunting distance, if you might say, Elliott West in that Ferrari now. 22 laps to go then at this British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. And well, it's West leading the way with Hamilton just in behind, 8.7 seconds now, and that gap is coming down very, very quickly between the two leading Ferraris. And well, both on intermediate tyres and will probably stretch out this lead a bit further. But West needs to get a good buffer to George Russell. Because if he doesn't, then he will fall behind and he'll have to fight his way back through the field. He's also got Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen to think about. Those two tucked in, nose to tail, coming through Village and the loop now. Well, Verstappen having a cheeky look maybe to the inside. Verstappen maybe having a look. Not quite close enough this time. And well, Oscar Piastri holds out the position, but Hamilton 7.8 behind. And well, with 21 laps to go, maybe it might be time for Lewis Hamilton. And he really is putting on the charge. You can see him. He looks like he's enjoying these intermediate tyres in the wet weather conditions at Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton is a rain master. Remember some of his great victories in the past have been in the wet. And well, oh, West in. I could see West coming in just there, just about, as Hamilton was coming through Vale. But, well, another set of inters then for West, and Hamilton will retake the lead of the British Grand Prix. And now it's all decisive where he ends up. There goes George Russell coming across the line then. Will he come out ahead of Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen? That is the question. And well, Piastri and Verstappen coming through the last corner now. West looks like it's going to be a perfect pit stop for the Ferrari pit crew. All he's got to do is get past George Russell, and it's P2 for West in the British Grand Prix today. It looks as if we're going to have a top three, an all British top three. And while Piastri and Verstappen 2 seconds behind, but it's not quite to be today. Well, West will be on slightly fresher intermediates than Lewis Hamilton. I don't think it's going to be enough to catch him though, because Hamilton has been quick and he loves this track. He loves these conditions too. It's like a perfect mixture. A perfect cocktail for a day of a Lewis Hamilton win. Shake it over ice over a cold bit of rain, and what a brilliant day this might be for Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone. Well, 20 laps to go then, and Hamilton in control of the British Grand Prix then. It's like last year all over again. Leading, the pit stops played into his path. played a brilliant part in this race. Well, without a second pit stop, maybe it might have been a different story for West potentially today. But it's still excellent stuff for the two Ferraris. They will make a big jump in the championship and come home with maximum points if West can get past Russell. And well, there is also a bad news for Kimi Antonelli. He's out of the race. He's pulled off to the side, and well, we didn't see that happen on the screen, but well, Hamilton will be mightily pleased that he's pulling out a gap to George Russell too on the wet tyres. And well, West is coming in behind as well, and 6 seconds now, the gap, but Antonelli, well, I think George Russell might be a bit conscious of Kimi Antonelli with his I believe it's engine failure that's caused him a great deal of issues, but they might be a bit mindful, which is why he's dropping off the pace ever so slightly in comparison to West. And well, West 5 seconds behind and coming through the exit of Beckett's now. Look at him, he's really pushing, and you can see Piastri and Verstappen also in the background too. You see them coming into the shot now. They're all so close, and you can see actually Piastri, I don't think he's going to have, I don't think Verstappen's close enough yet, but I think they've been in tandem pretty much most of this race since the pit stop. Well, this is all playing into Piastri's hands, this, because the more Verstappen stays behind, the more he burns those wet weather tyres up trying to push to try and stay with the McLaren. And it won't be good news for our championship leader. If West does get second today, of course, he will jump up. I think he will actually jump up, or we get even closer, actually, 8 points. So Verstappen will still lead the championship as we leave. We'll leave here and we go across to Belgium, where Verstappen will have another brilliant home following, coming across the border from the Netherlands into the Ardennes. Well, it'll be Verstappen's probably to lose. West will feel he might have missed an opportunity this weekend with a race victory at hand. He hasn't, of course, won since the Miami Grand Prix. So podiums in Monaco and Canada, but none in, maybe a missed opportunity last time out in Austria too. Some brilliant battles with Max Verstappen, but it's all set to maybe come to a conclusion and fruition here at the well, in a couple of races' time. Hopefully we'll have a race, because Ferrari will be monitoring that if it is the case. Well, Hamilton, in the meantime, could this be the start of something big? Could this be the start of a streak in his world title aspirations? Piastri and Verstappen then following each other closely. Well, don't forget, you're going to get every race live here on Westie TV as we close out the season. Next, it'll be the Belgian Grand Prix. Got the sprint on the day before, and then the Belgian Grand Prix, the Hungarian, the Dutch, Italian, Azerbaijan. Then we go to Singapore, and the round out of season sprints goes in the United States at Austin, Texas, the Circuit of the Americas, Mexico, Sao Paulo. We got another sprint race, Las Vegas, Qatar with the last sprint of the season, and then Abu Dhabi in December to round out the Westie TV big bonanza. 3 finales, 3 days. Westie TV Charity Cups finals at Wembley, and then you've got this incredible series here, and then we'll have the end of season awards, of course, as always, which is very exciting times here on the channel. Don't miss those, and subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video. Every support means a lot. Anyways, moving forward then, Piastri is still neck and neck with Verstappen. There's one pocket of space, but now there's a move that might more likely happen. George Russell and West, the two Brits, Ferrari versus Mercedes power. And maybe this is the lap where West will get this done. We'll ride on board for a lap at Silverstone then with West as we come on to lap 36. George Russell ahead, 7 tenths in the bank, and the gap is getting closer. Let's go up towards Village now. Heavy braking, down to second gear, get it nicely tucked in, all the way out to Village then. To the loop, sorry. Nice and tight, keeping it out, and then you want to maximise the exit. You're flat out now, all the way down towards Brooklands. Down the Wellington Straight we go. Some might consider this to be part of the national circuit, as well if you've driven it here for a track day. West then closing it up now through Brooklands, get the inside, and then you want to go nice and deep as Russell's just gone there, and West is trying to get the cut back on the exit and get the traction down. West now right on the back of George Russell as we go past the old pit straight. Well, Russell is just about streaking away, but here in the wet you want to maybe lift a little bit, but don't lift too much. In the dry you'll go straight on. Oh, West goes a bit deep. Not how you'd enter Maggots and Beckett's. You want to be following George Russell here, actually, to be fair. And well, into Beckett's we go. Get as much power down on the exit as you can. And then you get all the way down the back straight, the hanger straight. DRS open on a dry day. Up towards Stowe. Mansell and PK fought here back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then up towards Vale. A new pit complex. Used to be part of the old 2009 Grand Prix circuit. Is here now, and then across the line we go, and well, that's a lap of Silverstone on board with Elliott West. Well, West now right on the back of George Russell and looking down the inside. Opportunistic move on the lap car as well. Oh, I believe that's Jack Doohan, but well, West and Russell managed to make it through, but West was a bit sneaky trying to maybe go up the inside at the same time as George Russell. All the way to the outside now. West looking to the inside on George Russell. Russell tightens the corner for him. West goes deep. Russell comes back down the inside and gets the switcheroo. Well played by Russell. A nice dummy move to stop West from just going breezing straight up the inside. Well, West trying down the inside at Cops Corner. That's a brave move from the Ferrari, and he gets the move done on George Russell. And that is second place for the Ferrari of West. And well, that means it's a 1-2 finish potentially on the cards for Ferrari with 16 laps to go. Well, with West 23 seconds now behind Lewis Hamilton, it looks like it might be a day done for the Ferrari team. Get the cars home, get them to the end of the race, and Gasly's overtaken there by Fernando Alonso in the background. You can see him there. Well, West and Russell now separated by 1.3 seconds, and well, Piastri and Verstappen, let's go back to them. 15 laps to this battle to rage on. And I'm very surprised that Verstappen hasn't decided to make a lunge down the inside on Oscar Piastri. There have been plenty of opportunities to this to go on and this to happen. Well, now we are seeing Oscar Piastri trying to keep Verstappen at bay, and he's doing an excellent job so far. This has been like this within 5 tenths of each other since the pit stop. Well, Verstappen's, I think, being extra cautious since that earlier spin in the race, and it does have an effect on the mindset. When you spin once, you don't want to spin it at the next corner. You do want to take it easy, but Verstappen, as it stands, would still be in control of the Drivers' Championship, but only by a few points. As we go into Belgium, and, well, Westie and Verstappen, I'm sure, would most likely come to blows again as they did in Japan and Austria last time out. Of course, Verstappen went to block and West pushed onto the grass and lost the car himself. Verstappen went on to win. It's a big blow in the championship for him. And, well, today is none the better for Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Piastri would love some championship points, especially on Verstappen, clawing back some advantage. Well, this could go all the way to the wire. Piastri widely tipped at the start of the season, made potentially to be a champion alongside Lando Norris. Verstappen was in amongst those as well, but the Red Bull was not as fast as we saw at the end of last season. It was an interesting end of the year for the Red Bull team. But it means we can see some really, really exciting times ahead. And, well, that is Jack Doohan getting out of the way of this 4th and 5th pair. And, well, nothing really of note. Verstappen taking a bit more speed out of Oscar Piastri through Maggots and Beckett's. Now you can see the rain just flying off the back of this Papaya McLaren. Everyone loves to see McLaren in the rain here, and you can see right up to the edge of the plank and the battery going to max power. Verstappen, he could lunge it here, couldn't he? He could really try and make a move, but I don't think he wants to. Well, West and Hamilton now, 22 seconds the gap, and I think it might be... Well, unless West can catch at 2 seconds a lap, I don't think this is going to be the day for him. There would need to be qualifying laps for West to try and catch that, his Ferrari compatriot, and or a safety car would throw something into the mix, wouldn't it? Because, well, 16 seconds between West, Russell and Piastri. Verstappen too. So West was to pit during a safety car. It would be an interesting move, but it would put him back in 5th. Well, Verstappen, we are still watching this. These two fight it out. And Verstappen follow Piastri all the way through. The rain looks like it's got a lot heavier. You can see from the helicopter. The dry line's still there, but it's still intermediates worthy for the time being. Well, now the old pit lane, the support pits. Oh, wow, this is a magical, magical circuit, isn't it? And one that will be staying on the calendar for the long-term future of Formula 1, the home of British motorsport and the home of British motor racing remains here. The highest ticket prices on the calendar, so it's always a good race at Silverstone. I'd always do like to get a bit of annual leave to try and get this race off. Well, Silverstone in 2026 with new cars, new regulations will be just as exciting. Hopefully we'll be able to get to watch it all together here at Westie TV. But George Russell, he's having a good race so far. He's been, well, defying expectations, as some might say, at the beginning of this race. Involved in the lap one excitement, as I called it. Well, he's catching West ever so slightly. West has slowly dropped off a little bit, but 24 seconds, and well, here's Lewis Hamilton. We're going to ride on board with the 7-time world champion. And coming onto the hangar straight now, and well, Lewis has been pretty much flawless as we come onto the last 10 laps of this Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is a magical, magical driver. His career has been laden with records that have been broken, and he sets a new bar again. It might be a long, long time before someone beats his record that he might set today. Remember, still 10 more laps to go. Of 10 Grand Prix wins at a single circuit, if he wins today, of course. There is a bit of magic with it. Well, Verstappen and Piastri still like nose to tail. This is incredible to see. The two of them are just, well, it's dancing in the rain together. Takes two to tango. And two cars to create a battle. But, well, these wet and dry line, you can see the circuit now, and it is really, really starting to dry up. I think a lot of teams made the mistake of not going to the intermediate today. It could have been a very exciting race, especially for maybe if one of the midfield teams, Hayes, Sainz, Hadjar, Lawson, went for the intermediate, they'd be right up there right now. Right at the front of the field, potentially, and really spicing up this race. And, well, there is magic. Maybe a bit further down the field, we'll have a look at Sonny Hayes on track for some points. Some big points for the APX GP team. And, well, it would be Hayes' first points since the Spanish Grand Prix a few races ago, where he picked up a solitary 10th place, which gave him a point. Monaco, he finished 9th. Imola, he was 8th. And in the Miami Sprint, he finished 7th, giving him a solid points haul. But as with the most he's picked up all season long, one that will certainly please Ruben Cervantes, team owner. A big gamble it was taken to bring him back at the end of last season. And while his teammate Joshua Pearce is in this gaggle of cars, fighting out for the last point with Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda's in the mix too, and well, we all know what Yuki can do. He's magical, but being outpaced by the sister team and Tsunoda's former team too is not what he wants on his agenda. And Red Bull needs to be a lot faster for Tsunoda in the championship too. The constructor standings currently as it stands, Ferrari are right ahead of Red Bull. Doing an excellent job of it too. Here comes Yuki Tsunoda to the inside at Stowe. Can Tsunoda do it? Holding out side by side, wheel to wheel between the two Red Bull teams, and Tsunoda gets the move done. And well, in the background, I think Oliver Behrman was also having a look, and a very cheeky look maybe at Nico Hülkenberg. But, well, Silverstone is a magical circuit. If you want to get points here, you're going to have to fight for it. But Yuki Tsunoda into the top 10 for the first time in this race, and a perfect move down the inside at Stowe on his former teammate, Liam Lawson. Well, moving up through the grid then, Verstappen, over the last corners, is still neck and neck with Piastri. Gearbox to front wing for nearly 20 laps now. This has been with no move or no attempt made at making a move. So is Verstappen waiting on a Piastri mistake, or is he just easing in? One driver I think everyone will be disappointed with today is Lando Norris. Everyone was hoping he'd be up a bit higher up the field, but it's not really to be for Lando today. Oh well, there was magic in the air all race long, and it just hasn't really been the day that Lando Norris has really wanted. But nonetheless, he is still going to bring home points to the team. And, well, he will be jumped by, I believe, by Lewis Hamilton at the end of today as well. Hamilton will jump to 147. Norris would jump up to 146 in the championship. He's 1 point to separate the championship, the race leader, and Lando Norris at the minute. And well, Weston Verstappen would be really, really close going into Belgium, and this would be a possible 33 points next weekend to really set up the excitement of the Drivers' Championship going through the European rounds this season. Well, I think Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari will be right at the front of it. He loves a European season. He loves upcoming tracks. He loves the Hungaroring as well. One of the other records that he set there, 9 times a winner in Hungary. Multiple poles there as well. Well, Hulkenberg is pulling out of the way to let West go. Navigating the traffic, the Ferrari is. And that's very easy as long as they're helpful through his means. And oh, Lawson almost. Lawson, that was not the place to give up the position, and West as a result I think has gone a bit wide and will go through. Not the end of the world, but he does lose time to Lewis Hamilton. And well, Nico Hulkenberg now on the back of Liam Lawson. Hulkenberg, I think he's got the... We can't really go down and see the shot, but Hulkenberg does make the position stick. And Lawson concedes 11th position. Hulkenberg up to 11th. And Tsunoda is next target in his grasp. How will this next move pan out? Of course, West... Oh, looks like he's West doing purple sectors. So is Lewis Hamilton at the same time. So 28 seconds now, the gap between Hamilton and West, and this is feeling like a drive that reminiscent of 2008. Of course, Hamilton that day slapped on a set of intermediates in poor wet weather conditions. Don't do that. Do not do that. Carlos Sainz, that was close. And well, it looks as if Hamilton will be strolling on to take his 106th Grand Prix victory, and also his 10th win at this incredible track. Raced it 18 seasons. And he's got an incredible streak of finishing on the podium here too. He loves this crowd, he loves this incredible setting. The cauldron of speed. But let's look down the field then. Piastri and Verstappen still going at it. Well, Hadjar and Tsunoda. Tsunoda up to 9th. And now Isaac Hadjar falls down to 10th. And RB could be going home from Silverstone empty-handed back to Firenze. Not... Well, Tsunoda needs the points, and well, I think that might have been a bit of sister team orders, you might say, from Morat Mekis on the Red Bull pit wall. Well, Helmut Marko and his politics in Formula One, they're almost frightening, you might say. Well, Tsunoda's on a bit of a charge here. He's 29 seconds now ahead of, well, behind Carlos Sainz. And while Hadjar and Hulkenberg will potentially go to try and battle each other for the last points playing position, which is 10th. And that Kick Sauber is getting closer and closer to the back of that RB. And I think it might be time for the RB to yield. Here comes Nico Hülkenberg, closer and closer, not quite close enough though. The Kick Sauber has got a bit more time to do. That team becoming Audi, of course, next year. And a very, very exciting time for this team. They're going to have all the Germans go across to Switzerland to go and see what Kick Sauber can do as Audi become the next big team, the next big thing, as Hülkenberg and Bortoletto will move them forward into the future. And of course we've got Cadillac coming in next year as well, with Bottas and Perez coming back and returning. Two experienced drivers and two that can really get them on their feet, with Colton Herta behind as a test driver. Some true excitement from all across the paddock and the potential for next year. Well, hopefully we will see some magic. Hadjar and Hülkenberg then still going at it. Hülkenberg very, very close behind. And well, Sainz and Hayes have got a lot closer. I'm feeling Hayes might have made a mistake somewhere, but Hülkenberg right on the back now of Isaac Hadjar and getting a lot closer. Nico Hülkenberg then will ride on board as we come out through onto the Hanger Straight. One move for 10th place. Hülkenberg not close enough again. The power's just not there with that Ferrari engine, is it? But a bit of magical strategy can sometimes go your way. And well, APX GP are set to score points. If they can stay 7th, it will be a big points haul for Sonny Hayes, and it'll be his first, or the highest position he's finished in a Formula 1 Grand Prix since 1993. Which would be a magical moment for the APX GP team, and personally as well for him. But then Hülkenberg and Hadjar still fighting at it, going in towards Brooklands again, and down the back again, and maybe Hadjar. It might be too much of a fight as he looks for his first point of the season. It'd be so big for Hadjar, but it would be incredible for Kick Sauber as well to get the point, a big point in their championship hunt. Of course, they are rock bottom at the minute in the driver's standings. No points from Bortoletto either this season. So Hülkenberg has got to be the breadwinner, maybe here today. Here's Hadjar. And well, looking in the background, Oliver Behrman, the home hero, round the outside at Stowe on Lawson. Maybe it might be this for Oliver Behrman. Is it going to be side by side? It might be side by side as we come up towards Vale. And now, here we go. Oliver Behrman up to 12th in the Haas, and a cheer round the grandstands for the home hero on his debut. Brilliant work from Oliver Behrman, and well, another Brit in the top 15 is Joshua Pearce, who's holding on just about to these well then, let's move up through the field then. 3 laps to go then. Verstappen on the back of Piastri, and potentially Well, these drivers have been stuck in tandem for about 20 laps now. This has been quite remarkable that Verstappen has not made the move, found the perfect gap to get Oscar Piastri. He's been perfectly defended by the Australian, and Verstappen cannot just quite get Piastri. And pip him to the post. Verstappen, though, is really on the charge and really quite flying here. Piastri, though, doing the exact same. Anything you can do, I can do better, the old quote says. Well, Verstappen is still quite far back. I don't think he's going to make the move today. But Lewis Hamilton, then 30 seconds ahead of West now on the intermediate tyre. And just trying to bring home. I don't think if there was going to be any incident now, there'd be a safety car. I think he's safe. And well, we'll ride on board from one last lap of Silverstone. But West and Russell will probably be your top three today. Top three separated by nearly a minute. And Piastri is a minute off the pace of Hamilton here. Through Stowe we go for one last full racing lap here at Silverstone. As Jack Doohan gets out of the way once again for Lewis Hamilton. Well, one last tour, one last victory lap here at Silverstone for Lewis Hamilton. And well, he's been brilliant all day long. Lewis, last year, became a 9-time winner around this circuit. On the top step for the 9th time. And well, it hasn't been easy. 2008, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018, 19, 20, 21. Didn't win in 2022. 23 off the podium again. And then 2024, he won it again. In a Mercedes. In the winter, he made this big switch to Ferrari. Everyone was confused. Why are you leaving Mercedes, the team that have nurtured you since day one in 2014? The team that Niki Lauda persuaded him to join in Singapore after that failure in the McLaren. And well, Lewis took a leap. He took a big leap. And as he comes down the hangar straight for one last time, Lewis Hamilton is going to become a 10-time winner here at this circuit. The British crowd rise once again to crown another winner. And this time, it's a 10-time winner. The 7-time world champion is going to cross the line to win the British Grand Prix again. Lewis Hamilton is your winner here at Silverstone. What a brilliant result for Lewis, and a brilliant wet racing drive in the wet. Lewis Hamilton is your winner here at the British Grand Prix again. And well, West, one last time, his teammate's going to come through. And it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. For their two British drivers here at Silverstone. What a wonderful day it is for the crowd and for the Ferrari team. West comes across the line. It's P2 for Ferrari. West comes home in second. George Russell in third, and he will come home eventually. Verstappen's finally passed Piastri, but Lewis Hamilton is your race winner at Silverstone. And a brilliant day then for the Ferrari team too. Their first win here at Silverstone since 2022 when Carlos Sainz was on the top step of the podium. But Lewis Hamilton gets his first win in the Ferrari colours. And what a day it is for the 7-time world champion, and it brings him right back into the championship hunt as well. Will this translate into form across the European races? We'll have to see. But what a fantastic day it is for Lewis, and well, he's on the top step of the podium for the first time, and Ferrari will have a 1-2. It's an all-British podium, in fact. Hamilton, West and Russell. What a fantastic day it is for Lewis, and he will pick up the big gold trophy, a classic in Formula 1's 75th year, and 75th year here in the British Grand Prix. Lewis wins it once again. And time for the champagne, as classic in Formula 1 as it is. Lewis Hamilton will celebrate that, and we'll be celebrating here all night long here at Silverstone. What a day for Ferrari. Well then, it's a brilliant day for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. A first win of the season for Lewis and Ferrari, with a first 1-2 of the season. George Russell picks up his second podium of the season in the Mercedes in third place. A brilliant day for them as well. Now, looking further down the grid, Nico Hülkenberg picks up another singular point. Yuki Tsunoda in the top 10 with Sonny Hayes, Carlos Sainz, Norris, Piastri, Verstappen rounding out the top 10. A brilliant day for Kick Sauber and for Apex GP too, and a good day for Williams too, but McLaren in the midfield when they could really be in the title fight. Looking at the driver's standings then, Max Verstappen leads still with 203 points, West 6 behind on 197, George Russell pips Yuki Tsunoda to the post, and Hamilton moves up above Norris. But it all could change when we next go to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium.